Hello friends, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will see what is useState. So in React, what we call as useState. So like we can say how we can maintain the state of a component, how the component know that something is changed onto the UI that we can handle through useState, or anything something logical change is happened that we can consider into the React using the useState hook. So we'll see how to implement the useState hook. Let's In the last lecture we have created block component. I'll just remove this from here for some time. Let's say we want to add a counter which is like on a button on first button click we increment it, and on second end we just decrement it. So I'll just show you. I'll just type npm start so we can see the changes side by side when we are writing. Okay, here now nothing is there. I'll say counter is colon. Currently there is nothing. I'll just add a break line so that our first button will be there. I'll add button, input type button, value equals to the increment, one more button, input type equals to button, value equals to decrement. We have two buttons like this, increment and decrement onto the UI, and the counter is here. Okay. Now we want to show a number on the click of the first button. Like when I say increment, when I click on increment, there should be a counter which will show increment number. I'll just add the default value. So when I will click on increment, I should this value should be incremented by one. When I say decrement, the value should be decremented by one. So how do we will implement it? Space. I'll just add a space over here for the design purpose. Okay. So we need to write the on click event. So in the JavaScript, how do we write the on click event? We just say on click equals to into the single quote or double quote. We write some method click handler and we call it like this into the JavaScript. But into the React, there's a small difference. For this method, we write this on click event to the camel case. So on click is this like this, and we don't provide method name into the double quotes. We just write as curly braces. Here we will be passing the reference of the method to the HTML element. So let's say now I'm writing a method over here to handle the click event. I'll be writing the arrow function handle click equals to parenthesis and then curly braces handle handle increment. I'll just change the name of this function handle click. I'll just pass the reference of this function to over here. Everything works fine. See, I'll add an alert over here mentioning increment button is clicked. Let's see. alert shows or not, increment button is clicked. You can see this thing. So how do we handle the click event? We just any kind of event which we handle into the JavaScript, we can handle that into the React. But the only thing is like we need to just make it the name as camel case into the camel case, and we need to pass the uh, function as an function a reference of the function. So now we will write one more method for the I guess write over here first. I'll write one more function arrow function handle decrement equals to like this alert decrement decrement button is clicked. Same way I can pass it over here capital C on click equals to and just pass the reference. That's it. Just check now whether it is working fine or not. Increment button is clicked. Decrement button is clicked. Increment button is clicked. Decrement button is clicked. Okay. Now how we will increment this counter? So for that, I need to take one more. I need to implement some variable over here. So we are going to use useState hook into the React, which allows us to write or to maintain the state of the component. So which gives the state related feature into the React functional components. So we are going to use that. So I'll be writing the syntax. How do we write it? Let's say I'm writing counter and I'll be saying set counter equals the function which will help us set the value for the counter. I'll be writing use take. Here the type I can mention as this is a TypeScript. I can mention type. This is not int. This is number. In TypeScript we call this number. This is there's nothing like int, and we pass the default value as 0. The initial value we need to pass. So how do we write the what is the syntax for use state hook? So we can write it over here. Syntax like const c small sorry variable name comma method to set variable value equals to use state default value. Here we can pass the type. So what is the example of this? Const the let's say we are doing counter set counter equals to use state. Our counter variable is of type number here and here we all pass a default value. So this is the way we write the useState function, useState hook. Okay, so useState is a React hook which is inbuilt given by the React. This is not a custom hook. This is an inbuilt React hook which is used to handle the state in your functional components. Okay, so now this is the default value. Okay, 0. What I can do, I can print this counter value of this counter into the HTML. How do we print it? We just add the curly braces. Inside that we just write the name of the variable. So if you just go back and see 0 is there. If I just say the default value is -1, then here the -1 will be printed. So now we are keeping the default value as 0. Okay, the default value is printed over here. Now we will try to increment it. How do we will increment it? So we will call set counter method. I'll just remove this alert from here. We will say counter plus 1, and into that decrement we'll say set counter minus 1. So this is the way we write. Let's check here. We want to increment it, so we have just written counter plus 1, so we are actually incrementing just by 1, and here we are decrementing it, so we have written this just counter minus 1. We are setting this new value to the set counter, passing this value. Okay, so now let's try to click on increment. Value is incremented. 1 is again click, 2 click again, 3 4 5. Let's just try to decrement it. 5 is became 4, now it's 3, now it's 2, now it's 1, 0 minus 1 minus 2 minus 1. Now we are trying to again increment it. 1 to 1, 3. This is the way how we manage the state into our React components, React functional components specifically. Yeah. So we are going to use this use state hook very frequently and in our next videos to maintain the data. Yeah. So see you again. Thanks. Bye.